Hi guys, so today I'm back with another cooking tutorial. This is a baking tutorial on how I make my white chocolate cranberry macadamia nut cookies. I know it's a mouthful, but they taste amazing. My kids love them and they're usually gone within a day or two. Okay, so make sure you have a pen and paper ready. We're going to start off with 3 cups of unbleached flour, a teaspoon of baking soda, and 3/4 of a teaspoon of kosher salt. These dry ingredients you're going to just mix together in a bowl and just set them aside until we're ready for them. In the meantime, you're going to go ahead and put your oven on and have it preheated and ready once you're done with the entire process, okay? So 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Now we're going to go in with 2 sticks of unsalted butter that is softened. So, let your butter sit out on the countertop for about 20-30 minutes and it should soften up really good and mix really good when you're ready to start the mixer. We're going to go in with 1 cup of brown sugar. Pack brown sugar, pack it in there really good. And then 3/4 cups of white sugar. If you don't have measuring cups, you can always go to the Dollar Tree. They sell measuring cups and they're actually pretty accurate, okay? So now I'm gonna go in with my mixer. I'm using my KitchenAid. This is my favorite thing to use to do baking stuff now. I kind of slightly retired my hand mixer. All right, so we're gonna mix the butter and the sugar together until it becomes like almost like a creamy whipped consistency. So at first it's going to look really lumpy and then it's just going to start spreading out almost like peanut butter, like a creamy peanut butter almost. So once it starts spreading out, you're going to start adding in your eggs. We're using 2 eggs. I'm adding in 1 egg at a time. Once that 1 egg is completely combined and mixed in, you're going to add in the 2nd egg. I'm also going to raise the speed of the mixer to make sure that gets blended in really well. Make sure you clean the sides of your bowl so that all the ingredients are mixed in evenly and together. So now I'm adding in my 2nd egg and I'm just going to go ahead and let that mix together. I don't think I've ever done a cookie baking tutorial on this channel. This is my first one and I really hope you guys enjoy it. My kids love these cookies. It has a very sweet and salty and I'm not gonna say sour, but the tang from the cranberry, it tastes so good, you guys. You'll love it with a glass of cold milk, okay? Now I'm gonna go in with 1 tablespoon vanilla extract and try to get real vanilla extract and not imitation. And I'm gonna let that mix up as well. And now you're gonna get ready to add in your dry ingredients. As you guys could see, it's becoming very creamy. It almost looks like whipped cream in there or like buttercream, okay? So I'm gonna add in my dry ingredients 1/4 cup at a time or a little bit at a time. You don't wanna put it all in there and you definitely wanna lower the speed of your mixer. I have mine on speed number 1, so the lowest speed, okay? If you have it too fast, it's just going to make all the flour fly out of the bowl. You'll see that it's going to start getting a bit thicker. It's still going to have somewhat of a creamy consistency, but it's going to start getting thicker and it should not be super dry. The cookie dough itself should not be super dry. It still needs to be very moist and soft. So you don't want it too lumpy or too loose, or else your cookies may be very hard when you bake them. Well, in my experience, I don't know about anybody else's, but I like to make sure that my batter is really moist. And if you want to like a crunchier cookie or a harder cookie, you can always bake it for an extra minute or 2, and that usually does the trick for me. You're going to put in most of the dry ingredients. You're going to leave about maybe half of 1/4 cup worth of dry ingredients in the bowl. And I'm going to show you right now why I do that. Okay, for me it makes a difference doing this, but for some people they probably don't care. As you guys can see, a little bit of the dry ingredients is still left in the bowl, and now I'm gonna add in my white chocolate chips. I'm using 1.5 cup white chocolate chips. And I'm sorry about that ticking noise. That's Jack playing with his toy right next to me. Okay, and I'm gonna also add in 1.5 cup of the dried cranberry, and this is the Great Value brand. And then now I'm gonna go in with my chopped macadamia nuts, which I'm going to use 1 cup of that, and I'm going to slightly crush them. I want like a nice rough, texture to them, so I'm not like pulverizing them or anything like that. I want a rough a rough chop, a rough, what's the word? Rough chop, a rough crush on them. Okay, so now I'm gonna add that in with the rest of my, basically like they're like toppings for a cookie, except they're in the cookie. I'm gonna add that in the bowl and mix it all together with the rest of the dry ingredients. And we're going to scoop this into the mixer on a low setting a little bit at a time. All right, so we're going to start the mixer back up and have it on the lowest setting. And we're going to start adding in our chocolate chip, cranberry, and macadamia nut mixture with the rest of the dry ingredients. I know it will be tempting to eat or take a scoopful of this and eat it. Please remember it has raw egg in it, and I don't want you to get sick or end up in the hospital. There has been too many cases of people getting sick from eating undercooked eggs or raw eggs. So please do not risk eating raw cookie dough with raw egg in it, okay? So as you guys can see, I added in the rest of the cookie mixture, the cranberry, white chocolate, and macadamia nut mixture. And you see it's getting thicker and chunkier and clumpy, but it's still moist and it still, has like a really nice um, texture to it. It's still creamy, but not to the point where it's watery, and it's not super, super dry either. Once it's all combined, you're ready to start placing this cookie dough on your cookie sheets. Okay, I use parchment paper, by the way, when I bake my cookies. I think it helps a lot instead of just putting the cookies straight onto a cookie sheet without the parchment paper. It kind of prevents them from getting burnt, especially if they have fruit and chocolate and nuts in them, So I use parchment paper on my cookie sheet. Okay, you don't have to add any non-stick spray or anything like that. And as far as the size of the cookies I'm making, they're pretty big, a little bit bigger than my palm. So I'm dropping down about a golf ball size round of cookie dough onto the sheet. I'm using a 1 tablespoon measuring spoon to do that with another spoon, and trying to get them as round as possible. Like they don't have to be super perfect. Once they bake, they'll become pretty and round, perfect round circles. Okay, so don't worry about it if it's not perfectly round or perfectly smooth, or it looks a little bit too rustic. Like, they're gonna come out perfect, I promise you. Once you have all your cookie down, make sure they're spaced about 2 inches apart because they're going to spread. All right, and you're gonna put them in the oven for about 12 minutes on 350 degrees. And once they're finally done, this is how they're gonna look when they come out. Okay, they're gonna look really puffy. Okay, they're gonna look really puffy. Don't be nervous or anything like that. They will reduce in size and have more of that textured cookie look. Okay, so, and they are fully cooked. I want you to know when your cookies are ready, they'll start browning around the edges of the cookie. And as you can see, I slipped my cookie sheet out from under them and I just left them on the countertop. So here I speeded up the video. You can't really tell, but you can see the cookie shrink and get more of a textured look. It looks more like a cookie. You can see the nuts in it. You can see the white chocolate chip. You can see the cranberries. I'm also going to show you some pictures to show you what it looked like about 10-20 seconds ago. So that's how it looked when it came out of the oven, and that's how it looks now. out of the oven now. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Please share it. I'll appreciate that. Please subscribe to my channel and make sure to check out my other cooking tutorials. I love you guys, and I'll see you all very soon in another cooking or baking video. Bye.